Character of the week. So, today's character week is Christopher Smith, better known as the Peacemaker. Christopher Smith was a pacifist diplomat who was part of a group called the Fighting Five. He hated violence, but he used his weapons to fight the violence. There's a quote, "It's better to be a warrior in the middle of a garden than a gardener in the middle of a war." That pretty much was Peacemaker, or at least it was. In the 80s, Charlton Comics was acquired by DC Comics, and then they had the storyline Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is basically a cleanup of the continuity issues and errors from all of DC Comics, the multiverses and the what ifs and these parallel universes all combined. So they took characters from that said universe into DC Comics. So people like Captain Atom, The Question, Peacemaker, and Blue Beetle. That's where he came from too. They all got retconned into the DC main universe. Now that he's retconned in the DC universe, his origin story is slightly tweaked. Instead of just being a pacifist diplomat, he's actually a son of a Nazi general. So basically, to atone for sins and the violent crimes of his father, he becomes a vigilante who will kill for peace. Slightly psychotic because, well, you know, every superhero origin starts off like that anyway. His father had committed suicide to atone for his own sins around him when he was 5 years old in front of old Christopher Schmidt, later renamed Christopher Smith because, you know, he wants to hide his past. So he goes around with the weird helmet and those weird pants and a corny outfit, but highly deadly set of skills, peak human condition. He has no superpowers to speak of, so he's just a guy who's crazy with guns and high ideals. Because comics. So Captain January 6th, the Peacemaker became part of Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad. Eventually he became part of Checkmate. He became pretty much a hired gun under anyone who had the ideology of thinking that they were correct, because all that matters was keeping the peace and the mission, no matter what the cost it took for him. Ironically, such idealistic nature puts him more as a villain or an anti-hero, an anti-hero's hero. Dude's just nuts. He, in my opinion, Peacemaker is essentially what people who act like they think that the Punisher in real life is. Watchmen, they acquired some of Charlton's characters, so but DC wanted to use those characters for their own means, so he had to make up his own version. So if you look at people like Dr. Manhattan, is very similar to Captain Atom. The comedian was supposed to be Peacemaker, so as you can see, similar origins and everything match up. By the way, I also did the Comedian not too long ago, so you may want to check that out. Speaking of Suicide Squad, he was featured in the movie by James Gunn, featuring none other than... And his name is John Cena! John Cena himself was playing the Peacemaker in a breakout role. In fact, it was so popular that James Gunn and John Cena already worked on a TV series for HBO Max. It's called The Peacemaker. He's finally getting the heel turn that we deserve. From a pacifist diplomatic who hates violence but has to use violent means to keep the peace, to a guy who's hell-bent on keeping the peace no matter what the cost of those people, the mission is more important, to a soldier who believes in hustle, loyalty, and respect. I can't even salute him. Say, what do y'all think if Peacemaker and the comedian had a battle? Put that in the comment section. Let's go. Back to you guys.
Like, share, subscribe.